Hey guys, it's Monica. Just coming at you with a quick tutorial today. This is the Gummy Bear jewelry set that is going to be a charm bracelet and pair of earrings using delicious gummy bears. And I got these at the Dollar Tree. These are the swirly gummy bears, and if you look closely, they're kind of marbled. And they are really good. They're nice and soft right now, but the goal is to harden them up so that we can make them durable charms on a bracelet. Then the other kind of gummy bear that I got, I guess these are the standard. This is, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, Haribo Gold Bears. And you can either use some clear nail polish, or this is some glittery nail polish with some silver flecks in it. You can use like the white flecks or whatever kind of glitter nail polish that you want to use. I've also got some of this Sculpey glossy glaze, and this is what you would use if you were making polymer clay and you wanted to put a final glaze on that. I want some chain. I've got some nice colorful chain here that I think would look really cute because the gummy bears are going to be multicolored, but you don't have to do that. You can use your standard silvers or gold. You're going to need some head pins so that we can stick those through the gummy bears. You're going to need some little jump rings and a lobster clasp, or you can use a toggle clasp if you prefer. So let's get started. If you use the Sculpey glossy glaze or any kind of glaze that you use like for polymer clay, if I want to, I can dip this brush into it and then glaze my gummy bears and let them dry, or I can just opt for some regular old fingernail polish, and I got the silver kind here, but I've got various other colors. And then this is just a leftover piece of foam packaging. I can just poke these head pins into it while my gummy bear is drying. If you've only got a small little piece of foam, then you want to have, just as a safety net, a little piece of wax paper underneath you so you don't get your table messy. Here is a head pin, and it's the one that's got the little nail head looking thing on the end, and then the other end is not got anything open. Just going to stick that into your gummy bear. I know this looks painful. I hate to stab my little gummy bear. But you can see that's just coming straight through, and then you want to make sure that you go all the way to the end so that it stops just like you would a normal bead. Okay, so here's my, I feel like I'm like Vlad Dracula, the impaler of gummy bears or something. But maybe I should put this on a Halloween video. I hate to do this. These gummy bears haven't ever done anything to me. So it's nothing personal, Mr. Gummy Bears. If you need help pulling the head pin through the gummy bear, just simply take your plier and pull it through to where you can still see the pin. You don't want to pull that too far. The nice thing about having this big piece of foam versus a little square is that these types of projects, I can space my pieces out so that they can dry without touching one another. And yes, if you're probably going to be tempted to eat one or two, but once you put the polish or the glaze onto these, you cannot eat them. If you're making these for little people, be sure that you let them know, no, you may not eat these particular gummy bears. So maybe get them a bag of their own gummy bears that they can eat while you're poking holes in the gummy bears or supervising them poking the holes in the other gummy bears. Because once the glaze and everything is on there, actually, you know, once you stick the head pin through there, I would cease to want to eat them, because you never know what residue might actually be on your head pins. So just don't eat them. once you've impaled their poor little bodies. It's going to be enough charms for my bracelet, but now I'm going to need to do earrings. And because I'm from Tennessee, I'm going to do the little orange and white gummy bear as my earrings. I opened my bag several hours before I actually started working with these, just so that would give air enough time to kind of make these want to firm up a little bit better. It doesn't harden them, it just kind of firms it up. They're not as sticky to the touch because the moisture has dissipated a little bit. And you want to try to get them centered in the gummy bear. You don't want to, you know, have your head pin coming out of the forehead or through the back of its little head. You want to be, because when it hangs, you want it to be straight up and down. I'm going to use this silvery fingernail polish. If you don't like the glitter fingernail polish, then just use clear. As you put any kind of sealer on these, whether it's the fingernail polish or the Sculpey glaze. It will possibly alter the shape of your gummy bear. You don't want to forget any spots, because if it's not properly sealed, over time the little gummy bear will decay. I think that's so cute. You want to evenly coat it. By the time I have done the full set, the first ones here that I did will be dry and it'll be ready for another coat. So here's my little Dracula impaled gummy bears. I did find that it's easier to coat these when you do pick them up and kind of spin them around like you would a marshmallow over a campfire while you're painting. It gives a little bit better coverage for you as you're doing that, and then of course you can hit the top of the head. When I'm done making or painting that all the way around, then I do need to get my bent nose pliers in order to poke it down into the foam, because as I try to do it here just with my fingers, I am taking the chance of touching it with the back part of my knuckle. I can grab that wherever I want to and just stick that back down into the hole. Yes, I am eating the leftover gummy bears. The swirly gummy bears. Swirly gummy bears are a lot larger and a lot more soft, or at least these were. I opened up the Haribo bears. They're a lot smaller and they're not as squishy, so they are actually setting up a little bit better. And also, because these are swirly gummy bears, you're not going to get the clarity that you do now that this is painted. It sort of acts like resin. It kind of gets clear. This Sculpey glossy glaze, I opened up the bottle and poured it into this little shot glass that I got in a package at the Dollar Tree. It says not to shake it in the bottle, but to stir it. So I got a little popsicle stick and I'm stirring this. I'm going to dip one of my larger bears into the glaze and then use my brush to go over the top of it. I'm on my wax paper here. Now I'm just going to hold it and let it drain. It takes 30 minutes, it says, for each coat to dry. The fact that this is on some fingernail polish, it might take it longer. That's why I'm just going to let mine dry overnight. And I'm going to take that brush and kind of help the rest of this excess off. Here's the one I just dipped into my cup of the glaze. It took me quite a bit of time with my paintbrush to knock off the excess glaze. I'm just going to go ahead and use my brush to just coat it like I did with the fingernail polish. I went ahead and did a coat of that Sculpey gloss glaze on all of these little gummy bears. I wound up not dunking all of them like I did this very first one. It was just easier for me to just dip my paintbrush into that cup of glaze and go around the piece. And then because I was holding it like I was doing the marshmallow example earlier, I could just turn it and brush it at the same time very quickly. This glaze is pretty thin. Just a very small amount will coat a lot. I think I've got 24 bears. In total, all of these bears have 4 to 5 coats. So it only takes this glaze 30 minutes to dry, which most of them here on the front are already dry, but I'm going to go ahead and give it overnight, and then I'm going to turn them into little charms tomorrow morning. Here are my little charms that I've made, where I've done the wire wrap on the other end of the head pin that I had pushed through all of the little gummy bears. Here's some more of my little gummy bear army. I left one here so that I can show you how I made it. In order to do the wire wrap, you're going to need the round nose pliers. They get narrow towards the end. I like to use my bent nose pliers because I can push and pull the wire around the stem a lot better than I can with the flat nose. But I do also use the flat nose pliers in my non-dominant hand, which for me is my left hand, because this is what's going to hold it for stability as I wrap with the bent nose pliers around my stem. This is the front of my gummy bear, the side, and the back. I like to do it from the sides so that my loops are facing the front. There's the base of the gummy bear, and I want a small loop, so I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch to the end of my plier. The larger the loop that you want, the further down your plier you go. So I'm going to bend it a 90-degree angle over my plier with my thumb. I'm going to reposition my pliers to where I'm kind of face up or perpendicular to where I was. And then I'm pulling the wire over the top of my pliers with my middle finger. Be careful to have a really good grip on your pliers so that you get a nice round loop. So you're going to be making a kind of a question mark. And then I reposition my plier, turn it around. Now it's in my non-dominant hand because with my right hand I'm going to grab the end of that wire with my index finger and pull that up under the bottom of the plier so that it makes that shape. It's making the closed loop. And then I'm going to just be repositioning on my round nose pliers, having my bent nose pliers helping me pull and turn. You can do this with your fingers. Depends on how well your dexterity in your fingers are in your hands. If you struggle with this, then you'll need to use your pliers. I also like to use my flat nose pliers here just to give it a little squeeze to be sure that I'm still in line here together, that the wires are touching. So I'm just going to keep repositioning, and to get started I'm just pushing with my fingernail and pulling around. Now I've at least got it wrapped one time. I'm going to get my bent nose pliers and just keep turning around and pulling with my bent nose pliers for another wrap. I might actually need to push and pull. It gets down to where I've got this little crook and I have this sticking up. Then I start just taking my bent nose pliers and pushing that wire in a circular motion around the stem. I'm still repositioning my pliers every now and again, but I'm pushing that around that stem rather than trying to pull that little tail. And if your wire got twisted as you were repositioning yourself, then you can just use your flat nose pliers to turn it, because it's still going to be able to turn within the gummy bear. That is ready to either be put onto a jump ring, which is this, so that you can add it onto the chain, or put onto an ear wire. This is a fish hook style ear wire. I just kind of pull up this little ball so that I can see which end is the opening, and I want to take the part that is movable, not the stationary part, with my bent nose pliers and pull it up so that I'm opening that loop. And I'm taking my bear and feeding that on, and then I'm closing that loop by just pushing it back the direction that it came. You can see this is the little question mark, and this side over here is the one that I see where the cut is, so I know that this side is the one that I can go up and down with. When you put these on, you want to be sure that the big fat loop, that is the part that's going to be front facing out of your ear, so that's where you want your piece to face. You don't want to put your teddy bear on backwards. The rest of these I'm going to be putting on as charms for a necklace and bracelet. So for those, it's going to be a little bit different scenario, where we open and close a jump ring. I like to use my flat nose pliers on the left, my bent nose pliers on the right, and then I either push it forward on the right hand side or pull it back towards myself. So push it away from yourself or pull it towards yourself. You don't ever want to go side to side, because that will create a U shape instead of the circle, which will weaken the strength of your jump ring. I say open the door and close the door. Then I'll just feed on a lovely little jump ring, and this will then go onto my chain for the necklace and bracelet. Have a bear-tastic, sparkle-rific day, everyone. Bye!